Hello Duelist, Tombox here, and I've been playing this game for many years now, and to be honest, there are many monsters that I kind of forget about, but there's a list of monsters, old monsters, that I find to be very unforgettable. So here's my top 10 list of monsters before 2010 that are still played today. Number 10, Neospatian Grand Mole. Released in Strike of Neos in 2007, this rocky rodent was the bane for most boss monsters, especially things coming out of the extra deck. For the cost of your normal summon, you can get rid of most of the extra deck stuff permanently without using destruction, which was pretty big at the time since Stardust was a thing. Effectively using this rodent can be quite the pest for players solely depending on their extra deck. Sadly, the mole is not seeing very much play right now, however most people would agree that this effect makes it a pretty decent card. Number 9, we have Light and Darkness Dragon from the GX manga Volume 1 from 2007. Now this is a 2800 beat stick. Well, it can only be normal summon, cannot be special summon, but this is probably one of the most annoying monsters to deal with turn 1, especially for decks that don't run chainable effects, because his effect is, once per chain, a mandatory effect, he will activate, and he will negate the card that was activated before it. So that was basically it. Really annoying stuff. Negates monster spells and traps. Also very sticky because when he's destroyed, he blows up my own side of the board and then Monster Reborns out another guy out of my graveyard. So he was definitely probably one of the most annoying monsters back in the day. And it saw a lot of play during the GX era when he was released. And not only that, he always found his way into Monarch decks because Monarchs apparently loves this Light and Darkness Dragon. But probably the most notable time when he came out was during the Dragon Ruler format, especially the Baby Dragon Ruler era. Holy crap. The signature play that most people did with this deck anyways, especially when they open with the Light and Darkness Dragon, which would be Super Rejuve and then summon the guy out using as many resources as possible, and then the Super Rejuve would redraw you 6 cards and then you can watch your opponent squirm. Number 8. Dark Arm Dragon from Phantom Darkness 2008. Now this monster holds a special place in my heart because I played Teledad back in the day, and boy was it great to throw money at this game. Teledad was a tier 0 deck, and if you see like the top Shonen Jump championships back in the day, you would have a list of 31 Dark Arm Dragon player, maybe that one Lightsworn or Gladiator Beast. It was quite hilarious of how strong the deck was, ridiculous, and not only that, it's limited to 1, and that's why it's not seeing very much play right now. But for the people that do or can tech it, they will devastate you if he summons it out at the right time. Gets you basically a free +3 the moment he comes out. If this card was at 3, I swear we would have another crazy Dark Arm Dragon format. We had Return Dad from its release, we have Teledad, and then during Chaos Dragon format, he was also a thing. Dark Arm Dragon, always a high impact card whenever he's dropped, no matter which format it is. Number 7, Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning. This Kingpin was too powerful for its time and was sentenced away into the Shadow Realm for a good 6 years. But now it's served its time and it's released to the public. Luckily, he still serves as one of the most powerful OTK enablers of the game, and he came back, and if he's not doing that, he's tossing other monsters into the Shadow Realm face up or down. Number 6, we have Thunder King Ryo, released in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX manga Volume 2 in 2008. So I remember this one all too well because I remember going to the bookstore and buying all of it out just to sell it. Well, I didn't really sell it in the beginning, especially before the tournament, because I didn't want it to be used against me, because I played Teledad back in the day and I did not want people using this card against me. It was super annoying. It was the monster to introduce the anti-search mechanic. You can't search cards while he's still on the field, and mistake wasn't a thing, so searching was like the most free thing you could do up until Thunder King came out. And I believe Stratos hates this card the most for not only interfering with his plans, but he probably hates him the most for why he's at 1 and Stratos is still in ban camp. Number 5, we have DD Crow from Strike of Neos 2007. Now everyone's favorite hand trap before Maxi and Valor was even conceptualized. We have the flying bird that went through people's main deck, their side deck, and banished everywhere. It just was in everyone's deck DD Crow. Now, it was great during the GX era when everyone and their moms were special summoning from the graveyard, like this commander, we had Treeborn Frog, you name it, like we needed to get rid of that stuff right away, and the Crow got the job done. And if you don't know what you're gonna side, just side in DD Crows. That's like the common saying back then, and it's still kind of true today. If you have some extra slot, why not throw in the DD Crow and try and give it a try? I'm sure the Crow can still throw a wrench into many people's plans today. Number 4. So okay, we went through halfway through this list. Now we have number 4, Black Rose Dragon from Crossroads of Chaos in 2008. Massive board cling was Black Rose's signature move, and anytime someone could Synchro 7 and while you were ahead, well, you can expect this botanical nuke to come down onto the field. This card is a staple among Synchros, especially anyone that can play 7s. You can actually still see play of this card today in decks like Psy-Frames or Mermails because, well, they have access to tuners and they can actually get the lower level of 7. Any deck that can play Synchro 7s would probably include one copy of this bad girl just to throw a wrench in your plans and nuke your board, because why not? It also has really beautiful art. Number 3, we have Cyber Dragon. From released in Cybernetic Revolution in 2005. This monster probably saw the most amount of play, I would say, in terms of different ways of being used. Now, at first, when it was just released by itself, it had its fusions and whatnot, but it was mainly used as a beat stick, and it was pretty underrated at the time. And then eventually they realized, oh, we can go from 1 copy to 3 copies, and then it was just like a different range of how many copies you ran this card in. But then it was a beat stick, it became a tribute fodder for like Monarchs and or other random decks, and then it was just like the filler card, like, oh, if you don't know what to put in your deck, just put in a Cyber Dragon from Cyber Dragons. And then when Thunder King came out, this card became the throwaway body to kill Thunder King. It's like, throw a Cyber Dragon at it, he has to tribute it off or else it'll just get run over, and then you'll just keep the Cyber Dragon, and well, what are they gonna do? And from that point on, it was like always a considerable tech, and then Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon came out. And when Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon came out, this card became the ultimate machine killer because it used the summoning condition to wipe off every single machine on the field to summon out one of your monsters, and you haven't even normal summoned yet, which is the crazy part. With the crazy amount of support for Cyber Dragons over the years and the well-designed stat line, I could say that this card, even though it's 11 years into the game, it's definitely not obsolete. Number 2, we have Vanity's Fiend. Now, this card was released in Cyberdark Impact back in 2006, so it's been about 10 years since the release of this card, and to be honest, this card has seen a lot of play, and it's still played today very, very closely. This is like Monarch's favorite ambassador, holding a very similar stat line. Unlike Majesty's Fiend just decided to join the club completely by dropping the remaining 200 points. But anyways, this guy is like everywhere. In every format, he's always in someone else's side deck. But he's also mainboarded in Monarch decks because he's a single tribute. Now, my strongest impression of this card isn't actually from the current format of Monarchs, Cosmos, BA, and like Pendulums. It's actually from the Frognarch format, where people chose to main him or side him, depending on whatever they do. But it's usually, this guy was a blowout card. Whenever he summoned out, the Frog Monarch player cannot use Treeborn Frog, cannot use Battle Fader. In other words, they were basically put on like a 3 to 4 turn clock, and then that was it. And it also prevented the Frog FTK from getting his Substitute combo off, so that was pretty nice too. But anywhere this card goes, you can see a lot of combo players stop dead in their tracks. Unfortunately, his older brother Vanity's Ruler didn't get as much love just because he's a 2 tribute monster and doesn't increase his stat line that much higher. Alright, for number 1, we have Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. Now, Kaiku was a pretty easy pick. He survived the test of time, definitely. He's released in 2003 in Labyrinth of Nightmare, and not only that, he was like in the shadows of everyone's side deck. To be honest, he was either a power card, or he was a tech choice, or he was like a flavor card. You name it, he was there, and at some point he was even a main deck card. So I'm gonna list through this pretty quickly. During Invasion of Chaos, he prevented the boss monsters from coming out and controlled the grave to not let your opponent basically do as much damage as possible, and it was like the damage control. During Teledad format, if I remember correctly, he killed off maliciouses, and not only that, zombies were a thing too. So notable monsters that he got rid of. He got rid of Sangins, he got rid of Goblin Zombie, he got rid of Mizukis, he got rid of Malicious. And that was pretty deadly. Chaos Dragon format, obviously you just didn't let Chaos Dragon get their free plays. No BLS, no Chaos Sork, and taking away the option of them summoning a Light Pulsar in the same manner. And during the Spellbook Dragon Ruler format, this card single-handedly shut down the grave for many Dragon Ruler players. Being unable to banish cards out of the graveyard, they weren't able to maximize their resources, so they actually had to banish from their hand, which was not very good at the time. In other words, they would run out of resources much quicker. And especially during the Necros format, this was when he had the most amount of impact. Like, everyone basically sided this. I know I did, and it was either this or Lancia. I chose this during the beginning because Valk was just a bit too annoying, and summoning this guy guaranteed that all your hits will go through and there was no problem whatsoever. This card prevented Valk, prevented Trish, and just by blocking those two of the most powerful cards in the deck has been knocked out of the way, enabling you to destroy your opponent. So that was great. Although the impact in the current format isn't as strong today, he can still be used against Monarchs to some degree, preventing them from using any of their spell effects or their ideas and Aidoses, which is still a pretty neat thing about him. But yeah, I guess that pretty much just covers up why I like this guy so much. He's just always there. If you need a dependable monster in your side deck, you can always trust Kaiku. And I guess that's all I got from my top 10 monsters before 2010. Now, again, this is my personal list. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it. It's really up to you. I just want to share it with you guys. But what are your favorite monsters in 2010? You know, leave a comment down below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And also, I recently started another channel. Some of you guys already started subscribing to it. It's Tombox.TV. I recently made an ice cream video over there, and I'm looking for some feedback on how to improve it. So that was my pilot episode, and you know, I'm trying to make it a bit more entertainment for you guys on the side. And until next time, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.